Who dat to the Who Dat Nation. Welcome to the Dome Patrol podcast, your podcast for the New Orleans Saints here on the KB Radio Network. I am your host, Kevin Reed, and we have reached the end of the NFL season for 2024 as the New Orleans Saints wrap up, thankfully, mercifully, this season when they travel to Tampa Bay to take on the Buccaneers this Sunday in the Week 18 matchup. First and foremost, let me say to everybody, Happy New Year's. Secondly, let me send my thoughts and my prayers to all of the family and loved ones who were affected by this horrific attack on Bourbon Street New Year's morning, I guess you could say, and all of the victims of that tragic attack. We know that New Orleans is a city built on resilience. So this is, I'm not going to say something we can normalize and just shake off, always want to keep in remembrance all of those who were affected. But New Orleans know how to shake back. And this is not going to damper the spirit, the love, the culture, and everything else that New Orleans is known for. This attack will not do anything towards that or hinder that. So just wanted to start off the show by acknowledging that and sending my prayers to the families of those 15 people who lost their lives and those 35 people who were injured in that attack. But like I said, we're not going to let this damper our spirits and our marching on. It was a little rough. It was a little awkward putting this show together, to talk about the New Orleans Saints for many reasons. But then on top of that, you have this terror attack that took place in New Orleans. So it's like, man, do I really want to do this show? But I love talking to you guys, so I managed to put it together, and we're going to march on. We're going to soldier on and talk about this game that is virtually meaningless, to be honest with you. It's really a meaningless game. But in some strange Saints fashion, there is a storyline in this game. Well, there's several storylines. Of course, there's what took place on New Year's Day. It's the Saints rallying to win it for the city. Do we want to do that and mess up our draft pick? Because right now we sit at the 10th pick overall. Or do we just go head on and take the L? Take the L. That way, Atlanta will have to sit at home and not make the playoffs, because that's the only way Atlanta can make the playoffs is if the Saints were able to pull off the victory against Tampa Bay this Sunday. Atlanta will be playing Carolina, and I'm guessing they'll take it. Well, to be honest with you, I'm not 100% confident that Atlanta will run away with that game, because Carolina been playing teams really tough. I mean, hey, they beat our butts, but it's not a given that Atlanta will beat the Carolina Panthers. Also, before I continue on with the show, I wanted to say this before we started going into the show. I'm getting over a cold. Actually, I'm at the end of it. I'm not over it yet, but I'm at the tail end. At least I'm praying I am. And if I sound funny and cough or whatever, excuse me. But I'm trying to get over this virus. I don't know what it was. It wasn't the flu. It's not COVID or nothing like that. I don't know what it was, but it went through my whole house. Everybody had it. My girls had it. Then I had it. Then I ended up giving it to my wife, and it was nobody had it at the same time. It was one by one, picked us off one by one like the Predator. It was the craziest thing ever. But I'm the only one who has this aftermath, this chest congestion and cough and sinus congestion and all that there. So Lucky me, but everybody else is fine. So that's all right. I'll take those slings and arrows. But this Sunday, ladies and gentlemen, the New Orleans Saints, who are 5-11 right now, will close out the 2024 season on the road as they travel to Tampa Bay to take on the division leaders, who are 9-7 right now. This is the second meeting of these two teams. We all remember the first time these two teams played back in October, where Tampa beat the brakes off of the Saints 51-27, I believe. And that was just pure destruction. That was Spencer Rattler's first start in his career against this team. Now, he came in firing. I think he scored, well, all of our 27 points was in that second quarter. He went off and thought we had something there. We probably still do, but that was electric. But from that point on, it was all Tampa Bay. I think the Saints had 6 turnovers, 20 penalties, a punt return for a touchdown. It was just wow, man. It was one of the wildest games ever, or at least for the season, involving the New Orleans Saints. This was a crazy game, and I think under better circumstances, we probably should have won that game. Now, let's not forget, like I said, that was Spencer Rattler's first start. I don't think Chris Olave didn't play in that game, or did he play? I think he played, and that's the game he went out in. And Shadeed was out. It was a lot of people out. Of course, the whole offensive line didn't play. It was a lot going on there, but it is what it is. It fell apart at the end with the turnovers and whatnot. But look, that should have been the end of Dennis Allen right there. But for some strange reason, he ended up lasting a couple more weeks after that. And that's the part that really disturbs me. I mean, he should have lost his job after this game. But forgive me for kicking a dead horse while it's down. I mean, the man's gone. They fired him. All right, whatever. But in any event, I wanted to mention the Pro Bowl announcements came out this week, and the New Orleans Saints are sending 0 players to the Pro Bowl this year. 0. That's telling. That's very telling. And we're going to talk about a lot of that when we do our season wrap up next week, regarding the New Orleans Saints and what to look forward to going, look for going forward, if I could get the words out. So, yeah, that's very discouraging, especially when you look on paper at all the talent on this team. I know a lot of players were hurt, but a lot of players weren't hurt either and didn't even get close to getting a Pro Bowl selection this season. I just thought that was very weird. It's very, very weird. Well, not weird, because honestly, nobody deserved to go. I agree with that. That 0 players should go to the Pro Bowl this season. It was just weird to see that big fat 0 next to the New Orleans Saints team, and we have cap issues and roster issues. Like, well, where all this money going? What are we paying for then? We can't even pay. Okay, we can't get to a Super Bowl, but at least we can pay for a Pro Bowl player. We can't even pay for Pro Bowl players. And so, yeah, there's a lot of soul searching that's going to have to go on within the next couple of weeks. And so, let's move on to this game. Let's go through the stats of the teams. Let's start with the team's leading passers. New Orleans Saints leading passer this season, Derek Carr, 189 completions off of 279 attempts, 2,145 yards passing, 15 touchdowns, and 5 interceptions. For the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, it was Baker Mayfield, who has 386 completions off of 538 attempts, 4,279 yards passing, 39 touchdowns, 15 interceptions. Leading rusher for both teams, you have Alvin Kamara for the New Orleans Saints, 228 carries, 950 yards, and 6 touchdowns. And for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers is Bucky Irvin, 188 carries, 1,033 yards rushing, and 7 touchdowns. Leading receiver, Alvin Kamara, 68 receptions, 543 yards receiving, 2 touchdowns. Leading receiver for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers is Mike Evans with 65 receptions, 915 yards, and 11 touchdowns. Now he I don't know, this might be an emotional game for him because there's no Marshawn Lattimore no more. We don't get that no more. It just dawned on me. Yeah, that's over, man. At least no matter which way the game went, at least you knew you was going to be entertained by those two in some shape, form, or fashion. Oh, well. Well, let's go with the league rankings right now, starting with the records. Like I said, Saints are 5-11. Tampa is 9-7. Scoring average, Saints are 23rd in the lead. Tampa is 4th in the lead. Scoring average, opponent scoring average, Saints are 18th. Bucks 17th. Total offense, Saints are 20th. The Buccaneers are 3rd. Rushing offense, Saints are 14th in the league. Buccaneers 4th. Passing offense, Saints are 24th in the league. Buccaneers 3rd. Total defense, Saints are 30th. Buccaneers 22nd. Rushing defense, Saints are 28th. Buccaneers are 18th. Passing defense, finally the Saints have a victory here. They're 27th in the league. Passing defense to the Buccaneers 30th in the league. Turnover margin, Saints are 17th in the league with a -3. Buccaneers are 18th with a -4. Moving on to our injury report for this Sunday's matchup against the Buccaneers. Our injury report goes as such. Derek Carr is out of Sunday's game with the left hand injury. Alvin Kamara is doubtful for Sunday's matchup. I wouldn't play him. I know he only needs the 50 yards for 1,000. It's not worth it. And I also know that Kendrick Miller, he has been ruled out with the concussion, and you're kind of like, okay, but let's put things in perspective here. You're not playing for nothing. You're not playing for nothing. And so it don't make sense to send Alvin Kamara out there and injure himself even further along in his career. You know what I'm saying? Also questionable for Sunday's matchup, we have Peyton Turner with an ankle injury. Pete Warner with a concussion. He's questionable. Juwan Johnson with a knee injury. He's questionable. Marquez Valdes-Scantling, he is questionable with a chest injury, even though he was a full participant in practice. Chris Olave is ruled questionable, and Willie Gay Jr., linebacker, is questionable. Chris Olave is another one. Wouldn't play him. I doubt if they play. I guess they just had to downgrade him, in regards of Chris Olave and Alvin Kamara. It don't make sense. It don't make sense to get those dudes hurt even further than what they are right now. Keys to victory against the Buccaneers. I don't think they're going to win, so I don't know any keys to victory in this game. I mean, number one, Tampa is coming with their full arsenal. It isn't like Tampa is locked up with anything. If Tampa lose this game, Tampa is out the playoffs. And so they have to win. They have to play. And so there will be no sitting starters and all this other stuff. They're coming with their best this Sunday. That being said, the Saints' best, I don't think we've seen it this season. And yes, I'm counting the first 2 games of the season. We haven't seen the Saints play their best football. And I can't tell you what this team identity is and who they are and what they're good at. I don't know, because we never got a giant sample size. Yeah, we got the first 2 games, but you know what those first 2 games consisted of? Big, big home run throws. They had big shots down the field every now and then. You take that away, the Saints not putting up 91 points in those first 2 games. It's not happening, So what is their identity? It's, I guess we'll never know this season. But I mean, yeah, I don't know if we're going to get their best. Will the Saints put up a fight? I think the Saints will put up a fight. The simple pride of it all, with the emotion of it all, with all that has transpired in the past week here in New Orleans, I think they really will try to go out there and win. I just don't think they're going to win. But crazier things than happen. But this will be the first time, and I'm saying this here on this show, mark it down, save this episode, ladies and gentlemen. This will be the first time in the history of my watching the Saints, and that's been for 45 years, loving the Saints, which has also been for 45 years, that I want them to lose. I will be mad if they win. I will be furious if the New Orleans Saints win this game this Sunday. Not because of the pick, not because of the draft position, because they helping out Atlanta. That's the reason I would be upset. And so if you want something to cheer for this offseason, the Saints need to lose. Go ahead and only lose. That way, while we at home soaking, while everybody's laughing and pointing at us for being 5-12, the Atlanta Falcons, have a little better record than us, but they're sitting on the same couch as us with far more talent and a clearer path to the division and everything else this season, and they still couldn't do it. But that's neither here nor there. My prediction is I think the Saints will come up short in this game. I think it's going to be a hard-fought battle. It's not going to be a 50-burger game like we saw in October when these 2 teams met up the last time. But, it wouldn't shock me if it did. It really wouldn't. Like, the only time I got shocked this entire season was last week. And that's the God honest truth. When the Raiders, that score didn't reflect what the Raiders really did to the Saints. That was embarrassing. But it is what it is, as I keep saying. But anyways, I would love to know, what are your thoughts on this game? Do you think the Saints should just lose this game, and so Atlanta has to sit at home? Or do you think the Saints, due to the emotion of the city right now, we're to show our resilience, we need to pull out this victory to show that New Orleans ain't to be played with? I understand what you're saying. I get it. I'm not being insensitive to this situation, but come on, man. I can't. This don't make sense. Logically, honestly, take what happened on New Year's Day out of the equation. Does it make sense to win this game? You're going to drop lower in the draft, and Atlanta going to make the playoffs. That is a lose-lose if you win. That is clear-cut lose-lose if you win. Lose the game, people. Lose the game. Anyways, I want to know your thoughts. Email the show, kbradiopodcast@gmail.com. You can also search for this show on all social media platforms. Just search for the KB Radio Network. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel, the KB Radio Network channel, and like this video if you don't mind. Don't forget about the 5 stars, the reviews, and sharing this show if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, wherever you are currently listening to the Dome Patrol podcast. Your podcast for the New Orleans Saints here on the KB Radio Network. Everybody, thank you for joining me for this preview of the New Orleans Saints versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Week 18, final game of the season. Oh man, I'm so glad this season is over. But anyways, as always, it was a pleasure. After every game, after this Sunday's game, don't forget to come back, join me as we recap the game versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And once again, sending my love, my thoughts, and my prayers to all that was affected on the Bourbon Street attack on New Year's Day. Sending my love. Hope all is well with everybody else, all who are recovering. I hope you recover well, healthy, and stronger than what you were before. And for you all, this one's for you in the city of New Orleans. Who that?